After what feels like a forever wait, at least for me in the middle of running a Chult-based campaign, we finally have Dr. Dhrolin's Dictionary of Dinosaurs added to D&D Beyond. That's too many Ds, although I do like alliteration. It brings with it 3 subclasses, a handful of new species options for players, and a ton of dinosaurs, which is quite exciting, and some really cool magic items as well. Today, as ever, we are going to go through the player-facing options as the primary focus, but I do want to take a look at some of the monsters and the general vibes of the book as well, because as somebody that is a human, I adore dinosaurs, obviously. I was once a younger human, and it's only natural that I would love them. Just want to give a quick shout out to the 3 members I have at the moment, which is Mike27011, Levi probably, and the Zombie Knees 6263. I really appreciate your support. You don't need to be a member at all, but it warms my heart that you do. I also have a Discord now, if you want to join and talk about third-party stuff, or dinosaurs. Or both. We can talk about both now. Anyway, let's get to the review, shall we? This is the contents of the book. As you can see, you get a lot of stuff, mostly creatures. I do think this is slightly more DM-facing than player-facing, but we will take a look at the player-facing options because I do think that they are pretty cool. Let's go over the species options first, shall we? You get a description and speculative biologies and also custom languages. Each species, so we've got the Pluven here, each species comes with a description as well as the creatures it might have evolved from, background, courtship, the specific areas they would live in, the histories and the religion of them, as well as names as well. So you've got a lot of info on every single one. The Pluven are small or medium. They have a speed of 30 feet. They live for around 50 years. You get natural weapons in the form of your teeth, which deal 1d4 plus your dex modifier as piercing damage. You also get grapple claws, which allows you to better climb and also better grapple creatures. You basically have advantage on both of those. You can also deal 1d4 plus your proficiency bonus as piercing damage to the creature, just using your bonus action with no hit or miss or anything, so that's pretty cool. You also get dark vision of 60 feet and only require 4 hours to complete a long rest. That is a massive feature in campaigns with very little downtime, because it gives you 4 hours of downtime to craft or do whatever else it is that you want to do in your downtime, which is good. Along with that, you get resistance to falling damage because you have feathers. It's good stuff. The many horn here are sick. Triceratops people, along with all the other versions of them. I'm here for it. Very excited. I'm a normal amount of excited. The lifespan varies greatly. They can also be small or medium and have a speed of 30. You count as 1 size larger than your current size for your carrying capacity and the weight you can maneuver. Also, when you enter a town or other major settlement, you get to roll a d4 and you gain an associated benefit, which might be cheaper prices, it might be free accommodation, it might be the guards are nicer to you, which is super cool. You get proficiency in your intimidation checks, and you can use your bonus action to flood your crest with blood, causing it to display bright pinks and reds. If you do so, you gain advantage on intimidation checks for the next minute. If an enemy misses you with a melee attack within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to make an unarmed strike back at them with your horns. They have the finesse property, and they deal 1d6 plus either your strength or dex mod as piercing damage. And from level 10 onwards, you can add your proficiency bonus to the damage as well. As it's a finesse thing, you could theoretically use that with sneak attack, I think, off the top of my head, which could make that a really efficient way to get sneak attack. And a sneak attacking Triceratops is a dream I didn't realize I had until today. Jehelrak are these turtle people? Look at these guys. She's pondering her orb. I'm very normal about this. Anyway, small, 30 feet, and age. Age is so... I like age as a roleplay thing, but I appreciate that most people don't pay attention to it. They're good at persuasion. You get charm person at level 1 and suggestion at level 5. You can use charisma, constitution, or wisdom, but they're ineffective against other Jeholra. And you can do 1 per free. 1 per long rest per free. Per free? Free once per long rest. There we go. You also get advantage on sleight of hand checks and can hide something as a bonus action, which is fancy. And advantage on animal handling checks, and you can cast animal friendship a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus without a spell slot. That's very cool. We've got Ankylia, which are Ankylosaurus people. These lads are slow. Medium and 25 feet. That might be the only creature type with a 25-foot walking speed in D&D 2024. 5.5. It's 5.5 now. Goodness, you should know that. You can't count as a large lad when carrying stuff. When you attack, you can replace any attack with a tail attack, which you're proficiency with and uses your strength mod. Deals 1d6 plus your strength mod as bludgeoning damage, and you can add your proficiency bonus from level 10 onwards. You get proficiency with smith tools and training with medium armor. Ooh, free training with medium armor. That could be very exciting for a lot of mages. You can also create a mundane shield, simple weapon, martial weapon, or medium armor over the course of a long rest. provided you have access to materials and a forge. If you use this time to create an item in this manner, you gain only the benefits of a short rest. Along with that, you gain a +3 to your AC but cannot add your dexterity modifier to your AC. Alternatively, you have an unarmored AC of 17 but cannot add your dex modifier to your AC. We suggest agreeing which of these you use with your DM. The +3 to AC but can't add your dex is fine, right? You can kind of drop your dex there and just go for medium armor plus your medium armor plus a +3, which would be like an 18 AC. Whack a shield on there, you got 20 AC at level 1. You can make your medium armor as well. That's quite strong. Even if it's the 17 one, that's still total levels, right? So that's still not bad. Good stuff. Limu King, little lads. Look at this. Let's see, 30 feet. Small or medium, they don't live very long. Advantage on stealth and survival checks while in a wood, forest, jungle, or otherwise heavily vegetated area. If you're familiar with the vegetated habitat you are in, you can forage twice as much food as you would normally be able to. You get envenomed weapons. As an action, you can coat your weapon or up to 5 ammunition with a powerful venom you secrete, envenoming it. Maybe I shouldn't be recording this after a long day. When a creature is damaged by an envenomed weapon or ammunition, it must make a con save, taking 2d4 damage, gaining the poison condition for 1 minute on a failed save. At level 5, this damage increases to 3d4. The DC for the save is equal to 10 plus your proficiency bonus. That's not terrible. Starts off as 12 and goes up to 16 for what is kind of free. This doesn't last. The poison lasts for a minute. Never mind. Still, it's not bad. Especially if you can attack with your bonus action for whatever reason. Get dark vision of 60 feet, resistance to poison damage, and advantage on any check or saving throw to avoid or end the poisoned condition. We then have the Children of Seth, which are the birds. I know they're not birds. Medium speed of 30 feet. You have a fly speed of 30 feet, which is reduced to 20 feet if you're wearing medium or heavy armor. I think that's a cool way of doing that. Proficiency in athletics, and as long as you can see the sky, you always know which way is north. You also get proficiency in Arcana, Religion, or History. Alternatively, you may have expertise in one of them instead. So you can choose expertise in 1 or proficiency in 2. I love that. You remember every person you've interacted with, including their name, if you learned it. That's definitely correct. It was written by paleontologists, and I am an idiot. You know the value of any trade goods as a glance, as long as you've come across them before. That's very cool. And then we get NPC stat blocks, which are all cool. I love this a lot. Anyway, look at this artwork, man. I think it's Dinotopia, the book that I feel like a lot of people had as a kid, my age, where it was a society of dinosaurs. They learned how to fly on pterodons and things like that and worked alongside dinosaurs. This is giving me real Dinotopia vibes. I'm here for it. Anyway, 3 subclasses. We have the big game hunter for ranger. We have the fighter bonesmith, which used to be an artificer, which is a wild change. And the circle of cycles druid, which has nothing to do with bicycles. We've also got some backgrounds and some feats and some items. I will probably skip the backgrounds. We'll take a little look at the items, and I do want to talk about the feats, obviously. So let's go over this Jumanji tiefling for some reason. Why is it the dad from Jumanji? Level 3, you get Ranged Specialist, a master of ranged combat. You are knowledgeable and disciplined with a variety of ranged weapons. You have training with all ranged weapons, including thrown weapons and firearms, and you do not have disadvantage on ranged attacks for an enemy being within 5 feet of you. Free that bit of the sniper is fantastic. Game Hunter. Whether as a trophy hunter or monster slayer, you've honed your skills against creatures that are far bigger than yourself. After each long rest, choose a size category from large, huge, or gargantuan. Until your next long rest, your ranged attacks against creatures of that size deal an additional 1d8 piercing damage, and your ranged attack rolls against creatures of the other 2 sizes deal an additional 1d4 piercing damage. You can deal this damage up to twice per turn. That's really good. Even if you're only doing the d4, you could average that out as d6. Just about justify averaging that out as d6 for theory crafting purposes, which again, I'm very normal. So that's what I think about when I look at these things. That's still very good. An extra 2d6 a turn is very good. So, nice. You also get a bolus at level 3. Specially modified ammunition allows you to fire spiraling bolus projectiles to ensnare your prey. At the end of each long rest, you can make a number of these equal to your wisdom modifier, and these deal the same amount of damage as a normal piece of ammunition fired from your weapon, although you can choose to have them deal no damage when they're fired, so you don't have to be lethal with it. That's cool. When you hit a creature with a ranged attack that uses a bolus projectile, the bolus wraps around the creature, possibly ensnaring it. The creature must make a strength or dexterity throw, it chooses which, or become grappled. The grapple save DC is equal to 8 plus your wisdom modifier plus your proficiency bonus. If any of these remain on a long rest, they break and become mundane ammunition. So you can just do this 3 times per long rest most of the time, I would imagine, unless you're going for a wisdom forward build, which is a little trickier with rangers, because especially a ranged ranger, because you can't shillelagh your bow, unfortunately. Still, I like the game hunter a lot. It's a nice little power boost. I like the range specialist, that's just handy, and the bolus is cool. Level 7, we get special shots. When you make an ranged attack roll, and before rolling the attack die, you may apply one of the following additional effects. Drill shot. Twisting your ranged weapon suddenly at the moment of firing causes your projectile to spin rapidly, allowing it to drill through armoured hides. This ranged attack roll receives an additional +5 bonus to hit. That's fantastic. Trick shot. With precise aim, you attempt to ricochet your shot off one or more surfaces to reach an otherwise unreachable foe. Choose an unoccupied point that you can see that is within 60 feet of you. You may treat your location as if it were that point for the purposes of determining line of sight and range for the ranged attack roll. So you can shoot around corners. And power shot, whether by drawing your string back as hard as possible or overloading your firearm with excessive gunpowder, you ensure that your shots hit as hard as possible and inflict as much damage as possible. The weapon damage roll for this attack is treated as the maximum damage that could be rolled. Roll normally for any additional damage from this attack, like from Game Hunter or Hunter's Mark, but additional damage dice from critical hits are also treated as the maximum that could be rolled. You may do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all uses on a long rest. It's a solid list of options. Being able to guarantee hits or guarantee damage is super cool. I really like the trick shot, but that's going to be a lot more... The use of that and how useful it is going to be a lot more dependent on how you fight in your games, whether you're doing Theatre of the Mind or something more crunchy. Also at level 7, we get improved bolus. The number of bolus projectiles you can make at the end of a long rest increases. You can now make a number equal to your wisdom plus your dex mod. That's cool. Additionally, double your proficiency bonus for the grapple DC. That's also good. Level 11, reliable aim. If you miss with an attack roll using a ranged weapon on your turn, you can re-roll it. You can do this only once on each of your turns, and can do so only a number of times equal to your dex modifier, and regain all uses on a long rest. Hitting instead of missing is good, as it turns out. Well, it's not a guaranteed hit, but you get to re-roll it, which with most range characters is going to hit, just because of things like archery. Improved special shots. You get to do them twice your proficiency bonus, which is a lot more uses. Twice as many, in fact. So that's good. And then the capstone has 3 features. Apex Hunter. You are utterly relentless in the pursuit of prey that you've marked for death. Your Hunter's Mark has a duration of 48 hours. Also, while your Hunter's Mark is active on a living enemy creature, you do not require sleep and are immune to the effects of malnutrition and dehydration. That's sick. I feel like that's very ribbony, but that is very cool. Predator's Intuition. Using your intimate knowledge of your prey, you can tell how injured it is. When you hit a large, huge, or gargantuan creature with your bolus or special shot, you can immediately determine how many hit points it has remaining. Cool. And finish the hunt. As an action, you can declare that you're attempting to finish a target off. Select a creature that you can see within 60 feet that is unobscured and is of the size large, huge, or gargantuan. You make a single ranged attack against that creature that automatically hits, so long as your character, and you the player, says a quip or one-liner such as, "This one's mine, I've got you now," or "Hasta la vista," whatever one-liner you want, basically. If you do not provide a quip or one-liner, the attack misses. Misses? What is going on with my brain? If a creature hit by this attack has 100 hit points or fewer, it dies. Otherwise, it takes 10d10 plus 30 piercing damage, which is an average of 85. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. That's a heck of a capstone. Very, very cool. I think a lot of people wouldn't want to play that just because they have to act it out. But if you're going for that kind of vibe, then that's great. Also, it works really well with the Predator's Intuition, because obviously you can tell how many hit points creatures have left. Yeah, that's a really cool subclass. You get a nice little power boost straight off the bat, as long as you're fighting larger creatures, which is generally the case. It's going to be irksome when it's medium creatures and stuff, but it's not the end of the world. They're less likely to be good at the bolus saves, which is nice. The special shots are cool. Power shot doubling things is great, but obviously you can't guarantee you're going to crit most of the time, which is a shame, and you can't use that on Finish the Hunt just because of the way it's all worded as well. The Apex Hunter feature is incredibly cool. Predator's Intuition, just learning how many hit points a thing has left can be really, really useful. Presumably that's the damage afterwards as well, how injured it is after you've hit it. And then obviously the finish the hunt is just a very fun capstone. So yeah, good stuff. On to the fighter artificer, the Bonesmith. So you get to be a fighter with this one, which means you get more feats, which is always good. And you're also a fighter, which is also always good. Fighters are very, very strong. So wonderful. I do think it's a real shame this isn't an artificer. More artificer subclasses is fantastic. My understanding is this is likely because of the way it was published, because it wasn't sold through DM's Guild specifically. I think it's DM's Guild. They can't technically sell artificer subclass. And while I would have thought that Wizards of the Coast would have allowed that to be not the case for this, they didn't. My understanding of this is very, very rough. Please do not take any of that as being legally coherent, because it's not legally coherent. But yeah, I'm not angry about getting another fighter subclass. I am a little angry about not getting another artificer one, because more artificer subclasses is good, actually. However, at level 3, we get spellcasting. You get the poison spray, mending, and spare the dying cantrips. You don't get to choose, which is interesting. You also get some level 1 spells, which go up to level 4 because you are a 1/3 caster. You use your intelligence for your spellcasting ability. I'm kind of gutted it's not wisdom. Wisdom would have been fun. I wish we'd get more stat spreads for the spellcasting subclasses on spellcasting classes, but hey ho. And you can use Smith's tools, leather workers tools, or a weapon you've crafted with your Melder of Flesh and Bone feature as your spellcasting focus. At level 3, you also get Inflict Wounds, False Life, and Find Familiar. Find Familiar is fantastic. False Life can be very useful. Inflict Wounds is not great. Level 7 is Ray of Enfeeblement, Alter Self, and Protection from Poison, which are fine. Level 13 is Speak with Dead, Animate Dead, and Fear. That's cool. And level 19 is Blight, Fabricate, and Death Ward, which is solid. Not a bad spell list. Not a great spell list, but yeah. When you attack with a weapon that's crafted via your Melder of Flesh and Bone feature, see below, you can use your intelligence modifier instead of your strength or dex modifier. So you can be a full intelligence class, which is fascinating for a fighter. Is that a thing that we've had before? Yes, because of the Astral Self Monk. I got you. And probably others, but that's the one that comes to my head first. Grim Harvest, also at level 3. You can harvest resources from slain creatures that you may use to craft items. The creature harvest table below outlines suggestions for managing the resources harvested from a creature and how long it takes to harvest from that creature. When harvesting, the DM may decide or roll how much, if any, of those resources you can harvest within the appropriate range of values. These are just guidelines. Chat to DM. Don't pick stuff off of rotting things. They're bad for you. Your allies may assist you in harvesting. If at least 2 other humanoids assist you, you can halve the time taken. That's cool. So you've got a table here. It takes a day to harvest a gargantuan one because he's a big lad. I like the simplicity of this in terms of harvesting. I really love the Heliana's rules, as those of you who've watched my videos before will know, but it is nice to have a simpler one for this kind of one-off subclass. Let's see. Melder of Flesh and Bone. This is the feature that lets you make stuff. Over the course of a long rest, you can use your leatherworker's tools or smith's tools to craft armor, shields, and weapons from parts of slain creatures. The Bonesmith suggested crafting table outlines suggestions for the resource requirements for crafting these items. These are just guidelines. We recommend that you discuss this with your DM when the moment arises. Additionally, you gain proficiency with medicine checks. So these are all suggestions and examples, but generally speaking, that's probably all you're getting. I can't imagine many DMs will let you make magic items with this, not outside of the +1 and so on. However, I reckon you could argue most DMs into letting you craft bone-specific weapons, which there are some of in this book and other books too. So you've got that going for you. Level 7, you get improved crafting. You better understand the creation of items from flesh and bone. Your items that you create get a +1. That's cool. During a long rest, you can also craft a construct of flesh, which requires some body parts. It's a friendly undead companion that obeys your commands. It's a medium creature with the appearance of your choice, although it's fairly gruesome usually. What if I just want a cute little guy? And the statistics outlined in the construct flesh stat block. You can only have one of these at a time. If you make a second one, the first collapses into the components you used to create it. In combat, you have to use your bonus action unless you're incapacitated, in which case it can do whatever it wants. Standard pet subclass. It's just interesting you get the pet at level 7. It's 15 AC, and then its HP is 5 plus 5 times your fighter level, which at level 7 is 40 health, which is not bad, honestly. It gets resistance to poison, immunities to a few of the conditions, including necrotic damage. That's cool. Traits. When you make this, you can give it a trait. You can make it arboreal, so it gains a climb speed and gets advantage on athletics or acrobatics. You can make it volant, so it can fly. Nocturnal, so it has dark vision, and advantage on stealth and perception checks. Robust, so you can give it even more AC and more health. Oh, that's probably the one I would pick most of the time, although flying is also very tempting. And nimble, it gets an extra speed up to 45 feet in total, and its dex score is improved by 2. That's very cool. And it gets the evasion trait. That's hard to argue with, isn't it? You also get to choose one of the attacks. It can have a bite attack, which can potentially do poison damage. It can do a mighty gore attack, which can knock stuff prone. It can do an attack, I don't know why I phrased it like that. Noxious Spit has a ranged attack, which does acid damage and some necrotic damage. And then the Gruesome Claw does a mixture of things damage-wise and also gives the Frightened condition, which is cool. I like that a lot. Level 10, you get Artisan Crafter. Your knowledge of your craft deepens to that of an experienced crafter. You get +2 to the items you make. Cool. You can select a second trait from the construct of flesh from its initial list of abilities. You can't take the same one twice. Makes sense. And when you can take the attack action on your turn, you can forgo any number of attacks to have the construct of flesh make your attacks in your stead. So you could give up, at this point, 2 of your attacks, and at level 11, 3 attacks, and you can just have it attack 4 times, which is cool. I like that as an option. Also, over the course of a long rest, you can incorporate 1 set of crafted armor or up to 2 of your crafted weapons into your own flesh. They become a part of you and can only be removed if you choose to remove them over the course of a long rest. These weapons can be concealed within your body or drawn out from your body as a bonus action. You can only have up to 3 of these incorporated at one time. That is so cool. Wolverine. You can be Wolverine. There's claws in their Heliana's book. You can be Wolverine! Sorry. Level 15, you get a +3 to your items, and you also get Combat Bonesmithing. When you take the attack action, you can expend 10 of your harvested resources in any combination, which must be within 5 feet of you or in an extra dimensional space that you can access. If you do so, you can replace one of the attacks with a casting of one of your Bonesmith spells that has a casting time of 1 action. That's cool. Each time you use this after the first time, it goes up by 10. So second is 20, third is 30, and so on. That's sick. And then the cost goes back at a long rest. I love that. All of that. This whole thing is glorious. Minion Master, the AC of your construct of flesh is increased by 2, which is cumulative with a robust trait if you selected it, and you may select a second attack for your construct of flesh. The selected attack cannot be the same one as the first one you picked. All attacks made by your construct of flesh deal an additional 2d6 necrotic damage. In addition, when it drops to 0 hit points, you can have it drop to 1 hit point instead, but you can only do that once per long rest. You also gain access to the spell Creation, which you can cast without a spell slot. A level 5 spell, you cheeky half-caster. Third caster, even. When you cast a spell, you may create a fresh carcass of a beast up to large in size that you can harvest from. That's cool. Very cool. That subclass is sick. That's the coolest thing I've read in ages. What an absolutely fascinating and deeply complicated and weird subclass. I am still sad it's not an artificer. I think that would be a wonderful addition to the artificers, but also as a fighter, you get 4 attacks, you get so many feats. You get action surge. You could have your... This is the pet subclass now, because you can attack, replace all 4... So at level 20, you can attack, replace all 4 of your attacks with your pet attacks, right? Which deal... Let's see. What's the biggest one? I think most of them are just a d10, actually. Oh, that's wonderfully satisfying. 1d10 plus 1d6 damage. But it'd be 1d10 plus 3d6 damage, which is fantastic. Plus your proficiency bonus. So that's 6, right? So 1d10 is 5.5 plus 3d6, which is 10.5. So that's 16 plus 6 is 22. So 22 damage average per hit 4 times is 88. You can then do one as a bonus action, which sits up to, 110? And then you could do another 88 damage on top of that with Action Surge if you wanted to. That's 198 damage just from your pet. And that's assuming you've got no bonuses for it, which you might have. You might have items for it, right? Woo, that's a good subclass. Right, the Circle of Cycles Druid. Let's calm ourselves back down. It's Druid hours now. You get spells. You get Augury, you get Evolution, Devolution, which is a new spell, and the only new spell in the book. I'm kind of sad there's only one, but it's fine. You get Clairvoyance, Tongues, Meld into Stone, Legend Lore, Contact Other Plane, Find the Path, Contingency, Flesh to Stone, Circle of Death, Foresight, Glibness, and Time Stop. That is a pretty potent list of spells. Not a huge amount there that's damage based, but that's kind of cool. We know what we're doing here. We're doing Divination. Evolution, Devolution. It is a 2nd level transmutation spell. It takes an action to cast, lasts for a minute. You can touch a creature and make it, if it's unwilling, it has to make a save. If it's willing, you can increase or decrease the damage of the creature's attacks by 1d4. You can increase or decrease the creature's speed by 20. The creature can gain a climbing speed or reduce its climbing speed. It can gain a flying speed or reduce its flying speed. You can change attacks to acid or damage, or change any other types of damage to bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. Great for if you've got a barbarian on the party. You can give or take dark vision, and you can give or take hit points too. That's also cool. When you cast the spell with a third level slot or higher, you may pick another trait to change for each spell slot above level 2. Ooh, so if you cast a level 8 spell, you can do all of these to a creature and just buff it to the high heavens. Level 3, you also get Adaptive Wild Shape. Through your knowledge of time and evolution, your wild shapes gain the traits of animals, ancestors, or descendants to adapt to your needs. Whenever you assume the form of an animal with your wild shape, you may choose to add one of the following additional characteristics to whatever you wild shape into: climb speed, flight speed, breathe underwater, dark vision, or you can change the damage type. That's cool. You're still not going to be a wild shape focused class at all. That's not what this is. Wild shape spellcaster, maybe. If you've got something like Moonbeam, you can turn it into an owl with a fly speed of 60 feet. I think that would be the extra 10 feet. Very cool. I like that a lot. Glimpse Future, also at level 3. You get advantage on dex saves. When an ally you can see makes a dex saving throw, you can use your reaction to give them advantage on it, as long as they can hear or understand you. Cool. Level 6, you get Improved Evolution Devolution. You gain better control over stuff. You can push or pull parts of the body through time, rapidly evolving or devolving them, sometimes painfully so. Your spell gains a range of 30 feet and a casting time of a bonus action instead of an action. That's very good. If you choose a harmful devolution effect, it also deals 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier as necrotic damage on a failed save. Additionally, you can cast the spell at 2nd level without expending a spell slot for free. You can only do that once. I mean, that's pretty cool. A little bit of damage. Love to see it. Shame it's not 1d8 per level or per trait. 1d8 per trait would be really good. I'd be really tempted to make that the case. I can't remember if it changes again, but we'll check it out. You also get Deep Hibernation. All right, I'm speed running through this. You have to have a big old nap for 24 hours where you do not age, eat, or sleep, or drink. After 24 hours, you can wake up, or you can just stay there if you want. You can commune with the past to learn details about your world's history, or you can commune with the future to see how things will go if the party has not been around, basically, is the short of that. Sick. The designer's note here, they've got designer's notes throughout the book. They're good. I like them. This feature gives the Dungeon Master the opportunity to show the consequences of the BBEGs, or as Dadi would put it, the BB long-term plan if they are not foiled by the party, or to show you the history of your world and what led to the rise of the BB. It's a good note. Good work. Level 10, you get Improved Glimpse Future. Hold on. There we go. Improved Glimpse Future. When you're subjected to an effect that makes a dex save, you get evasion, and you can give someone else evasion if you use your reaction, as well as advantage on it. That's great. You also get Cosmological Evolution. You have the ability to superficially recreate ancient cosmological events from your world's past for a brief moment, drawing upon long past magic to empower yourself and your allies. As an action, you may enact one of the following events. They must complete a long rest before you can do so again. Partial Eclipse allows you to blot out the sun in a 10-mile diameter with non-magical darkness for 10 minutes. Full Lunar Phase lets you make natural light for 10 minutes. Is that daylight? I don't know. Also 10 miles. That would end Ravenloft, right? Anyway. Comet of the Warrior allows you to, for the next minute, give yourself and allies within 15 feet of you the ability to reroll a single missed attack once per turn. Melee attack, sorry. Archer's Meteor is the same, but with ranged attacks, and then Planetary Rings allows you all to reroll saving throws once per turn. It's like a cool aura. I'm here for it. Very, very cool. Also, look at that. Look at that. Level 14, when casting Evolution Devolution, you may concentrate on the spell for 10 minutes. If you do, the changes become permanent until it's cast again on that creature, until that creature's completes a long rest. So you can just buff all your party first thing in the morning with a bunch of different stuff. That is just so cool. And level 17, you get Future Sight. As an action, you can peer into your own future, allowing you to glimpse moments just before they happen. For the next hour, as long as you're not incapacitated or blinded, you have advantage on all attacks, and all attacks against you have disadvantage. You can only do this once per long rest. That's a wild, pun intended, druid subclass. Absolutely absurd. I'm trying to figure out how powerful it is, or if it's just really cool. It's not actually doing much for your damage. It turns you into a really good support caster because of Evolution Devolution. Like, you can buffing everyone in your party's damage by 1d4 for every hit they do is good. Increasing their speed. So if you do a 2nd level slot, you could just do these two, right? That's going to be more than enough most of the time. You can increase the damage by 1d4 per attack and give them an extra 20 feet. And then obviously if you want to, you can also give them extra hit points as well. That's very cool. It's a shame none of these scale. It is a shame none of them scale as you upcast the spell. I think I understand why. but I still think it's a shame. It would have been cool to have as part of this, I think, part of the guided evolution. Maybe it increases the dice size of anything with a dice size by 1 even. That would be cool. But I get it. Everyone's getting stronger anyway. You can hit more. It's probably fine. But yeah, very cool. Also, this artwork is so pretty. Good gravy. Feats! Also, this artwork is so pretty. Good gravy. This book is amazing. Naturalist. We've got 2 origin feats, Naturalist and Minor. Naturalist is when rolling a survival check to identify the remains of any beast, plant, or humanoid. Any roll of a 1 to a 9 is treated as a 10, and you get expertise in survival checks when tracking a beast. The first time you encounter a beast that you've never seen before, you're able to discern either its AC, maximum hit points, or its resistance. You get to choose. That's cool. Minor. You get a physical lamp that can produce bright light and then dim light. It attaches to your belt and armor. Cool. While underground, you get Tremor Sense. If you already have Tremor Sense, it goes up by 20 feet. Also cool. And you get advantage on any skill check or saving throw to escape natural falling rocks. That's cool. I said cool too many times there. That's fun. Nailed it. Stone Whisperer is level 4 feat. You need a wisdom of 12 or more, and it boosts your wisdom. You can cast a stone shape spell once per day without requiring a spell slot or components. You can do this 3 times per day at level 10, 5 times per day at level 15, and as many times as you want at level 20. You also get Tremor Sense of 10 feet. Stone Shape. Touch a stone object, and you can change the shape of it. Cool. You're just really good at diggering. Diggering. I respect that. Behaviorist. Intelligence of 12 on level 4. You have expertise in animal handling checks, and creatures you tame gain +1 to their AC, attack rolls, and damage. That's sick. Crocodile Wrangler. Your ability score has to be a strength of 13 and a charisma of 30. You can either choose your strength or charisma to go up by constitution to go up by 1. That's fascinating. You have to be level 8 to do this. What a beauty! You have advantage on animal handling checks and advantage on unarmed strikes if you would grapple a beast. The actions / actions there threw me off slightly. And crikey! Any large, medium, small, or beast you are grappling cannot select you as the targets for its attacks. That's fantastic. I love it. I think the accent fell off at the end of that as well. Sorry. Steve Irwin is a legend. Volcanologist, the prerequisite, is level 8. Int or con by 1. You get resistance to fire damage, and if you can see a volcano, you can take 10 minutes to assess it to determine when it's likely to erupt. And if it's going to erupt within the next 7 days, you can determine the minimum safe distance from it. That is so niche, apart from the resistance to fire damage. So niche. Action hero, you need a strength of 16 for this. You can boost your strength or dex by 1. If a creature hits you with an attack that uses its mouth, you can use your reaction to reduce the damage by 1d10 plus your level. That's not bad. And the first time you fail an athletics check each day, you can choose to succeed instead. Again, it's quite niche. Arcane Enchanter, level 12, and spell casting. Increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma by 1, up to a maximum of 20. As an action, you select an item you can see or touch and enchant it. You can only have 1 item enchanted at any given point. When you use it, all previous enchantments end. The item gains the following enchantments based on its type. Weapons gain an additional 1d6 of any damage type that your spells can deal. Ooh. And at level 16, you can add your proficiency bonus to the additional damage. Ooh. Armor, for the next minute, that armor provides the wearer with resistance to 1 damage type. At level 16, you can choose 2. And Wondrous, for the next minute, you get advantage on saving throws to prevent or end a condition of your choice. And at level 16, you can choose 2 of those. I like that this has no use limit, but does have a time limit, because it's all for the next minute. So you can only have 1 of these going at a time. It only lasts for a minute. You have to use your action to do it. But as long as you do all that, you can do it as many times as you want, basically. I like that a lot. Actually, I think that's a fantastic feature. I will be taking that on my Artificer when she hits level 12, because it's banging. Then we've got items. I'm not going to go over all of these. I do want to look at the art, because look at the art. Look at it. Look at it. +1 or +2 to armor. If you move in 20, this is the Epsilon. Sorry, I love Triceratopses. I really do. I'm very neurodivergent. You get a +1 or +2 to your armor if you move at least 20 feet in a straight line towards a creature and end your movement within 5 feet of it. You can use your bonus action to strike the creature, dealing bludgeoning damage equal to your proficiency bonus and piercing damage equal to your proficiency bonus. So you deal twice your proficiency bonus damage to it, basically. You don't attack roll for that, though. You just deal the damage. You then also make contested strength checks, and if you win, the creature is knocked prone. That is so cool. Raptor Leather lets you reduce falling damage. Dark Deity Robes are legendary and gives you a spell slot of your highest level, an extra 1, which is cool. I think some of these are... Where is it? Here we go. The Chris of Hateg. It's a dagger or a knife. It's legendary, right? This is a big old deal. +3 weapon. Creature hit by this must succeed in a DC 10 Constitution saving throw, or be reduced by 1 size and have the damage from its attacks reduced by 1d4 for 1 minute. A DC 10 con save with a legendary rarity feels like You're never getting that off, ever. And I think that's a real shame because it's a really cool idea. But hey, also the book has rules on taming rules. Each creature with the beast type has a taming score. I love it. You need to give it a certain amount of food. It's Ark survival involved rules. That's really cool. I really like it. Crikey, these things are worth a lot of money. I mean, the dinosaurs, it makes sense. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. We've got a gun. Look at that, fantastic. Can be loaded with any type of ammunition. However, its range becomes 60 feet. If you do so, the DM can alter the damage type. Cool. Yeah, theropod jaw is a big old axe. Deals an extra d6 of damage. It's cool. Yeah, so lots of cool stuff here. Basically, there's some awesome wondrous items as well. Evelynite Shard, which sounds like a Pokemon item. If this mineral touches a creature's exposed body, it is destroyed, and the DM rolls in the minor mutation table for that creature. It gains the associated mutation for an hour. More than 5 shards are used on the same creature within 1 hour of each other. The creature is polymorphed into a tiny crab with 2 hit points for an hour. Very cool. Yeah, and then we've got just a bunch of creatures. So that was the end of the player facing stuff. I just want to cover one of these creatures. I don't want I'm not going to go through them all. There's loads of creatures. Let's go over the Zool. Should we go over the Zool? It doesn't even have the thing. It's a medium-sized ankylosaurus. Okay, let's find one with a picture, shall we? Centrosaurus. Oh, it's a type of triceratops. So it goes over the ecology, the description of it, as well as general thing, how to actually pronounce it, what it means, all good stuff. Behaviors, phlenology, references. That's right, you've got references in this D&D book. Stat blocks, obviously, optional magical rules, which actually alter the CR of a creature. So if you want your dinosaurs to be really cool, you can give this one mirror image, which is cool. When approaching a herd of Centrosaurus, at least one of them will have this spell active already. I just think this is cool, and the whole book is sick and wonderful, and I'm happy it's here. But that's it for me. I've talked about dinosaurs long enough. That's not true. I could keep talking about dinosaurs. I want to make sure this video goes up on time, so I'm going to call it. If you enjoyed this, and I really hope you did, please like and subscribe. It is good for the channel. That's how that works. This is YouTube. I hope that you are doing well and you continue to do well. I hope that you also get a kick out of the fact that we have all this dinosaur stuff on D&D Beyond, and it's not just me on my own being a gigantic nerd. And until the next time I see you, I hope you take care. That is all for now. Did I say like and subscribe? I think I did. ADHD is wild. Anyway, goodbye.